What is the reason that Yahweh gave sacrifices? Why? Were they even necessary? Of course, there are voluntary sacrifices. There's, different kinds of sacrifices. But specifically, why? Sacrifices are for, in Yahweh's perspective, sacrifices are for sin, to deal with the fallen nature of man, to deal with breaking of his word. Sacrifices are for sin, either atonement for sin, covering for sin, guilt offerings, peace offerings. Now, what is obedience? Listening to him, doing what's right in his eyes, doing what's right from his perspective, following him, loving him, fearing him, respecting him. Messiah and him are the same. When I say that, I'm talking about Messiah too. And so was he. So was he. He is not separate from his father's Torah, and he did not bring a new one. So when he talks about his commandments, he's talking about his father's commandments, because him and his father are echad, they're one, they're the same. So obedience is hearing his instructions, whether they be directly to you, whether they be for the community of Israel, everybody, whether they be for a specific group, whether they be eternal or temporal. Whatever Yahweh gives a command, an instruction, and you obey it and you follow it because you know it's good, and you are worshiping him by obeying him and loving him and trusting that he knows what's good. Not that you know what's good. Oh, well, he's telling me to do this. He's telling the whole command of Israel to do this. He's telling me not to do this. I trust him because he's good and I'm not. So you're obeying him. So when we look at verses like obedience is better than sacrifice, think about that really deeply. So sacrifice was for sin, and obedience is better than sacrifice. So to listen and do, whether or not you carry that out perfectly, because he never says to do it perfectly. He says to be blameless, meaning have a desire to do so. But obedience is better than sacrifice. To not sin and to listen to the Father and the Son and do what they want you to do. So listening to the Father and doing what's pleasing to him is better than sinning and having to atone for it. Doing what he says, not sinning, is better than sinning and having to cover it. Think of Saul. Why does Samuel say that? Because he completely he obeyed in some areas and he disregarded Yahweh in others, and decided that he was going to keep the cattle he was supposed to do away with, supposed to kill, and sacrifice to God instead for his disobedience. And so Samuel says, no, I don't want your sacrifices. I provided them because there's a problem, but I don't desire them. What I desire is for you to listen to me and do what I say. I mean, it's just like kids. I'm thinking about, like, for me, when my kids listen to me and do what I say, that makes me feel respected. I feel like I'm a better mom. I feel like the relationship between me and my child is just so much better, rather than them doing something and saying, oh, sorry. You know what I mean? He told Saul to do this one thing, and Saul said, I'll do half of it, but I'm going to do it the other my way, and it's okay because I've got that sacrifice thing. I've got that blood of Yeshua that I'll just throw on there, and all will be forgiven, and I'll be fine. And he always says no. My sacrifices for you are for when you mess up because you are trying to obey me and you stumbled because either the enemy got to you, or you had a weak moment where you took your eyes off me, like Peter did with Yeshua when he took his eyes off and Yeshua reached him and grabbed him under the water. Or those are those moments. Those moments where you are trying with all of your might to please him, and you stumble. But when you blatantly don't listen to me because you think you have a better way and you can use my sacrifice to cover your sin, absolutely not, says Yahweh, Lord of hosts, which is Yeshua. Yeshua is the Lord of hosts, the right arm of Yahweh. Yahweh, Creator, God Most High, the Father. He says obedience, listening to me, is better for you than to disobey me, sin, and then use a sacrifice to cover it. In that instance, sacrifice is null and void, just like Hebrews said. If you sin willfully after receiving the knowledge of the truth, and truth is his word, truth is his instruction, truth is Torah, Psalm 119, 142. If you sin willfully after coming to the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sin for you. The sacrifices were intended for those who stumble along the way to pursuing righteousness, not those who are disobedient because they think they have a better way. Now look at this in comparison to the church. Take food, for example. Something that I am going to tell my children. When you go to a pizza place, you have an opportunity to worship. Did you know that? Because they have food items that Yahweh does not call food. And you have the option to put that on your pizza. You have the free will to kill. You have the free will to go out and cheat on your wife. You have the option, the freedom to do these things. So you have the freedom to choose, I'm going to put this thing that Yahweh does not call food on my pizza, or and then just harp on the fact that, yeah, I get to eat what he says not to. Or you can say, oh, Father Yahweh, thank you for giving me all these different options of food. I can have vegetables, I can have fruit, I can have cheese, I can have clean meat, I can have all these things. Thank you for giving me such variety. Where else you could have made me like the cow and eat only grass. You could have made my stomach to where I couldn't eat anything but grass. But you didn't. You gave me all this variety. See, it's the wrong mindset to have. When Yahweh says, don't eat the pig, it's unclean. It is not food. And you're sitting there saying, why can't I eat this? That is the bad mentality to have. Instead of being grateful for the food that he did give you to eat. When he could have made you eat like the grass, he might humble you like Nebuchadnezzar, where you're eating cud like the pig, if you're not careful. And you use that with, holidays versus his holy days. Obedience to his word, whether or not you understand it at that moment or not, if he has revealed it to you, and you have the knowledge and the accountability to, okay, he said this thing, you can choose to either close your eyes, blind yourself to it and not see it, and go on living about your own way. But he doesn't accept anything that you're doing. And yes, Satan can bless you too. That doesn't mean it's Yahweh if you're getting all the things that you want. Or you can humble yourself and use it as an act of worship. I'm denying what my flesh wants, and I'm choosing what pleases you, as I'm obedient to you, and I'm grateful for all the things that you have given me. I'm grateful for these feast days that point me to Messiah, that show me of his character and his love and what he came and did and what he's going to come and do. I thank you for that. I don't need all those worldly days and put your name on something. I don't need to break your commandment and then use the blood of Yeshua to cover my disobedience. And I can close my eyes and turn a blind eye to it. Or I can be like, okay, I know this truth. I might not understand it completely yet, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my broken fleshly ability. And I'm not going to put the sacrifice that you gave me to put in place for when I do stumble to shame again. Obedience, my friends, is better than sacrifice. And you're going to have to decide whether you're going to come to the throne room and say, I need this from you. I need this from you. I need the blood to cover this. I need this. I want this. And you're going to have to comply. Or, take me, Father. Take me, Yeshua. I want to do what pleases you. Just tell me what it is, and I'll do it. Your choice.